Dave here. You can find all of our shows with the Ramsey Network app on your smartphone. It's the only place to listen to the entire back catalog of episodes. Download the Ramsey Network app in your favorite app store today.
Alrighty, live on both the YouTubes and the Twitches. Ramsey Show over. After show beginning. Back up to 420 subscribers. Excellent. Put my links in the chat and we will get going here. What up, Ops? How you doing? Good to see ya. No Troy Story in the chat earlier either. Hopefully you'll be there soon. Hobbs, we've missed you. Alright, that's all of those. Episode 331, August 1st, 2022. Happy August, everyone. And we'll drink first and then we'll get going. Yep, Bob's is live, back from vacation time. Excellent to hear that. And now what we normally do when we start, we're going to do that, and that is listen for the drum taps that start off this song. Whoops. Like all plans, it starts with step one. $1,000 emergency fund. Step two, you pay off all your debt. Except mortgage, we do not do that yet. So pay off your consumer debt. Every one of the charges, from smallest to largest. Baby step 3 is next. Full emergency fund of expenses. You stay gazelle intensive. His name is Dave Ramsey and this is his plan. And I hope to meet him. I admire the man. I messed up in my life, but these steps have made it right. That's why I go, and why I host this YouTube show. If you don't like the way it's working out, you should do the baby steps. And if you want to have that financial peace, then you should do Dave's baby steps. Now step 4 is when you can take a breath. Go less gazelle and invest. Step 5 is a save for your kids. No student loans at all for no college. 6 is to pay off your home. Step 7, build your wealth and don't keep it all yourself. And you've lived like nobody else. Now you get to live large and now you get to give large. His name is Dave Ramsey and this is his plan. And I hope to meet him. I admire the man. I've messed up in my life, but these steps have made it right. That's why I go, and why I host this after show. If you don't like the way it's working out, you should do the baby steps. And if you want to have financial peace, you should do Dave's baby steps. Trumpet, take it home. Live from Columbus, OH. It's the Ramsey Show Aftershow brought to you by D.H. Schumann. Thank you so much, D.H. Here we talk about the Ramsey Show YouTube chat, and the people in it, and all things financial and whatever else I want to talk about. I'm your host, Coach Steve Money. I'm a certified Ramsey Solutions financial coach. That is Dave Ramsey's company. And you can schedule a free consultation assessment with me at calendly.com/Coach Steve Money. The links are at the top of the chat and in the video description below, and on the right side of my YouTube banner, which is where? Right up there. You can email me about anything, yes, anything, and that's CoachSteveMoney@gmail.com. Instagram is Coach Steve Money, no spaces. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, just like D.H. Schumann did, you can do that at, where is it? There it is. PayPal.me/Coach Steve Money. Alrighty. Boom, boom, boom. So, Ob's back from vacation. Been grinding to catch up. She's the solo worker for her area. How did they manage your area while you were gone? Was somebody covering, Obs? Today was a brand new show of the Ramsey Show, and Dave Ramsey was in the driver's seat there, and his co-host today was our guy George Camel, former YouTube host, former live events host for years and years before that. And we got a partial song for him, and let's give it a try. Yeah. He used to host YouTube back in the day. Ken Coleman calls him George Camel with a K. Now George hosts 3 podcasts. They don't cost a cent. I borrow future entree leadership and the fine print. Opened up YouTube, saw the thumbnail was Camel. It's always fun with George on the panel. Ayo wears ASOS and Deloney wears flannel. No one does it better than our guy George Camel. Paid his house off. His wife helped. Got a second dog. Got a 2013 Tesla. Baby step 7, y'all. Alrighty. And this is the part of the show where we go market report. As you can see, everything down for today. Led by the S&P 500 at 0.28% down. NASDAQ at 0.18% down, 0.14% down. Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is the total market index, and the small cap index, the Russell, is 0.1% down. I won fantasy mutual funds for July, winning for last Friday. As far as today, probably someone more even in the way they allocate their funds. Probably will win for today. Let's see what this says. Wall Street ends down after biggest month since 2020, and so that's pretty cool that July was the biggest month since then. But U.S. manufacturing sector slows modestly. That means only a little bit. Perkin Elmer rises on $2.45 billion divestment. And then we talked about the market today. Stocks gave up some of a strong rally from last week that was driven by bets the Fed may not need to be as aggressive with interest rate hikes as some feared, and they did raise the interest rate by 0.75%. S&P 500 bounced between gains and declines on Monday as some investors became more cautious in the wake of that recent rally. And let's take a look at that. I think the Nasdaq was down most of the day. Yeah, so it was up for a little while in the earlier part of the day, and then tried to get there, but then by 12:53 p.m. Eastern time, it was all down. Nasdaq too. Must be thinking of the wrong day, but it was up apparently until 1:18 p.m. The Dow probably has similar, they generally have similar paths. And that is, again, about that same time. 1:15 p.m. Eastern time. Let's see, who do we have tomorrow reporting is Occidental Petroleum and Advanced Micro Devices, otherwise known as AMD, and PayPal. Block is August 4th, Roblox Corporation August 9th, and 10th we got the Mouse reporting. Most followed single stocks on Google, 3 of them up, 0.33%. For Amazon, 0.52% for Meta Platforms, artist formerly known as Facebook, and they had been down the last 3 trading days, I think. And so recovering somewhat from that, and barely up, but still up. Tesla 0.04%. And as you can see, close to 1% down. Microsoft 1.26% down. Alphabet with Jones, Google, and Apple down 0.62%. We did that one. Let's check the after hours. Do the old reload. And we have the Nasdaq 0.05% down. Dow 0.22% down and 0.35% down. Again, this is the after hours. After the after hours ends, I believe at 8 p.m. Eastern time is when the after hours trading. Then I believe there's also 4 hours of pre-market trading in the morning, and then the regular day of trading begins at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time is when that happens. After hours moving. Aflac, Norfolk Southern Railroad. DuPont. And what's most down? Fidelity, Eversource, First Republic, Mosaic, HP. How about that? Alrighty. Check the rest of the planet, see what they're looking like. Everything down in Europe, everything up in Asia. See what the US dollar is doing. Euro up on the US dollar, Japanese yen up on the US dollar. The British pound low up on the US dollar. US dollar up on the Canadian dollar. Sorry. But the Australian dollar might up on the US dollar. There will be shrimp on the barbie tonight, or whatever day part they are in currently. Crypto, everything down. Mostly the Ethereum. Excuse me. All right, this from CNBC. Yeah, crypto world, party time, excellent. The SEC, not the Southeastern Conference, the Securities and Exchange Commission, instead charges 11 people in alleged $300 million crypto Ponzi scheme. Excuse me. See what they have to say about that. That raised more than $300 million for millions of retail investors worldwide, including in the United States. Scheme called Forsage claimed to be a decentralized smart contract platform. Forsage allowed millions of retail investors to enter into transactions via smart contracts that operated on the Ethereum, Tron, and Binance blockchains. And so, this is what can happen, apparently. This is what can happen. This comes along with the doesn't have much of a track record, and apparently this stuff can happen. The same reason the kids liked it, because it was untrackable and government didn't have their hands all over it, which is going to change. This is from foxbusiness.com. General Motors to void warranties on hot cars and trucks that get flipped. Warranties will be non-transferable if the vehicles are quickly resold. So they're talking about one person buying it and then reselling it for more money, flipping it, and they're like, they do not want that to be happening, so they are putting a stop to that, initiating a new program to stop its hottest models from getting flipped for sky-high prices. In-demand low-volume vehicles like the GMC Hummer electric vehicle have been getting resold for astonishing amounts, so supply comes nowhere near satisfying demand. Initial Hummer electric vehicle, not electronic, always do that, should just say EV. Model available this year has a starting price of $112,000, $595. That should not be, oh, the comma is for the but after it. It's a big old but after it. But several barely driven examples have been auctioned for over $250,000, with one commanding $324,500 at a recent event. So people trying to make money on them, so those will not have warranty on them. Ob says I'm freezing again. Let's check it. Oh yeah, that's gonna be my fault, Obs. Skip frames detected. I don't know why that would be. Alright, we're gonna push through. Phrasing. Let's see. Let's. Hello. There we go. Let's take a look at it. See what we're going. $150,000 with one commanding $324,500 at a recent event. So people trying to make. Yeah, for me the video is freezing, but the audio keeps going. So sorry about that. I don't know why that is. Might have to start maybe reboot the computer shortly before the stream starts. Alright, but this info. Oh, let's get rid of some of these and see if that makes any difference. Some of the tabs. Alright, this from Yahoo Finance. Inflation, no quick relief in rent increases, economist explains. Let's see, there's no quick relief in rent increases. Probably not getting too much worse after early next year, or probably peaking early next year, but then a long, slow downward pace on rent increases and still staying high through at least the end of 2024. Early in the pandy, American interest in buying homes surged as COVID-19 spread and mortgage rates were at historic lows. Home prices soon followed, pushing some buyers out of the market and back into renting. They'll have to save up or downsize expectations in order to access home ownership with a lower debt load in order to avoid the impact of higher rates. And so that means you rent for longer. Yep. No, Obs, it doesn't. I mean, what I was looking should be the same thing you're looking for, unless your internet is more worser than mine, maybe. But I didn't have any problem. I had constant audio on mine. So the video is pausing. Let's see. This from CNBC. Home prices cooled at a record pace in June, according to housing data firm. Cooling fast as demand wanes and supply builds. Annual rate of price appreciation fell 2 percentage points from 19.3% to 17.3%. Price gains are still otherwise strong because of an imbalance between supply and demand. The housing market has had a severe shortage for years, and so that's going to continue for a while, even though it's getting a little bit better. Rising mortgage rates and inflation in the wider economy caused housing demand to drop sharply in June, forcing home prices to cool down. Home prices are still higher than they were a year ago, but the gains slowed at the fastest pace on record in June, according to Black Knight, a mortgage software data and analytics firm that began tracking this metric in the early 1970s. Annual rate of price appreciation fell 2 percentage points from 19.3% to 17.3%, and so that means that the rate, the equity is building. The rate that the value of the house is going up. And let's get rid of these again. And from the CNBC Make It section, save and invest. 65% of Americans are doing the exact opposite of what they're supposed to, says an investing expert. Here's what to do instead. Well, let's find out. If your favorite store was offering 13% off the merchandise, chances are you'd be filling up your shopping cart. But if you're like many Americans, you may find you're not quite as enthusiastic about a markdown when it comes to buying stocks. S&P 500, a common proxy for the broad U.S. stock market, is down 13% in 2022. But folks aren't buying more stock at cheaper prices. Just 1 in 4 Americans say it's a good time to invest in the stock market, according to a recent survey from Allianz Life. And 65 say they're keeping more money than they should out of the market out of fear of investment losses. Well, it's already on sale, and it's only a loss if you cash out. And so you just seeing it on a website saying that it's down does not mean you have lost any money unless you cash out. And so Dave does not recommend waiting till it goes on sale to buy it. He recommends that you buy it on a schedule. And so that means you buy it whether it's up, whether the market's up or down, and that's also known as dollar cost averaging. But indeed, right now, it is still on sale because it has always gone back up to the recent high, and it's always gone to a new high. So, and if that changes, it'll be a different America. So unless you think a different America is going to happen, a way different America, then it is a pretty safe bet. It says the fears aren't entirely unfounded. Any investment has the potential to go down, and investment losses can be painful, especially for people who plan to live on their investment income in the short term, and that's not something Dave recommends as well. Also, it's not a short-term thing. He recommends 5 years in the market if you're saving for a purchase, and if you're not saving for a purchase, it's obviously until you retire. What up, AJ? Says the beard is looking gray. Yep. She loves it. That's why I have it. The slim version of Santa Claus. Merry Christmas, Obs. Let's see. Young investors, time is on your side, is on your side, is on your side. Young hearts, be free tonight. All right, that's Rod Stewart. Maybe you're keeping money on the sidelines because you're waiting for the market to calm down. Again, doesn't recommend that. But if you do happen to have money again, it's like this investing professional says, it is on sale 13% still. It was down more. It was down like 22% on the S&P. Let's see. Now you made me start thinking about it. Now it's getting itchy again. I didn't put conditioner in it this morning, though, so maybe that's some of the problem. Let's see, from the Wall Street Journal, and I think I get more articles because it's the first of the month, so that resets on how many free articles I get. It says the IRS. You guys read it. Ugh. The IRS changes guidelines for inherited IRAs, causing confusion and pushback. Some people choose to take a big tax hit now rather than deal with 10 years of calculations. Let's see. Oh, never mind. I don't get to read it. But it did show me that huge picture for free. Let's see. Figuring out the most efficient way to navigate the tax impact of inheriting individual retirement accounts has become more complicated since the Internal Revenue Service issued proposed new rules in February. Rules on inherited IRAs were most recently changed in the 2019 Secure Act, which introduced a new 10-year payout rule for inherited accounts. The previous rule said those who inherited an IRA, Roth IRA, or 401k could spread out withdrawals over their lifetime, right? And now you have to do it over 10 years, which means more tax money for the government. They're trying to take a bite there. And so whatever the rules are now, let's see if I can find out what they might be. Boom, 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 boom. Issued the long proposed rule, which addressed in large part the changes to required minimum distribution rules made by the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act. They always make it so that it spells something. In this case, it spells secure. Well, let's see what it is. Proposed rule. Implying that taxpayers must take into account a reasonable good faith interpretation of the Secure Act changes. Compliance with the proposed rule for 2021 will satisfy the reasonable good faith standard. Background. Trying to see where it says what different. The 10-year rule, that's the old rule. All right, maybe it'll be on that other page. We'll start using a new table and distribution period factors for all subsequent years after you reach your RMD age, including the year in which you were paid the first RMD by April 1. You must take the RMD by December 31 of that year. Okay, so you still got to take required minimum distributions of it, it looks like. That's not it. All right, I'll try to find, maybe they're moving it to 7.3. Secure Act 2.0 increases this threshold to those who age 73 on January 1st, 2022, to those age 74 on January 2030, and to those on age 75 until January 2033. I'll make sure that that is the only change that they made on there, if I remember. Sid is glad to be done with trolls. How about that? Was the live stream full? What live stream? Of what? Oh. I got you. There were a few in there. ArsTechnica.com said Charter loses home internet customers blames the end of COVID subsidy program. I guess it was during COVID only that the federal funding for internet was provided for some people, and they lost 42,000 customers, and so they're hoping new federal funding comes through to pay for that again so they can make more money. But since it's coming from the government, is internet something that the government needs to provide? I don't know. So it just has one real life troll, and that's R. R is a co-worker of hers at Bayou Power and Light. Alrighty. Nobody that knows him watches this. Or her. I can't remember which one is which. I think one's a male and one's a female. This is from Yahoo Finance. And tell CEO this is a time for a bit of austerity, and I was wondering what it was. His task his team with finding new cost savings as the chip giant tries to battle back from a challenging second quarter while also rebuilding the company for the future. So we had stuff we created over the last decade that needed to be cleaned up. Helps drive a lot more accelerated pace to the transformation we have underway. And so some of what will help is if that bill gets passed where Congress, the government again, will be subsidizing American chip manufacturing, and apparently Intel is the only company they will be giving money to for that. As previously thought, AMD would be involved in that, or NVIDIA, and Nancy Pelosi's husband bought $5 million of stock of one of those. Can't remember if it was NVIDIA or AMD, I can't remember, but then sold it last week after it went down. So sold it at a loss. And I thought it was because they had already voted on it, but they haven't voted on it yet. So maybe he just found out that they weren't going to be eligible for that. Or it could be just a coincidence, I'm sure. AJ is troll light. I wouldn't call you a troll at all, really, AJ. AJ does like to take the opposite viewpoint sometimes. The devil's advocate, as it were. He does like to do that. And he's like, now hear me out now. Alright, so we got time left. So we go to reddit.com/r/Dave Ramsey and we sort by new. See what we got. Baby step 7, toxic shadows. Single, debt-free. What is the balance in investing for retirement versus setting aside money for fun things such as travel? Good question. That's up to you. Excuse me. When you are in baby step 7, you get to do whatever the heck you want to do except put yourself into a lower baby step, as in take out debt. Now, if you are renting and you never had a house and you eventually want to get a house, that will put you in baby step 6. But as far as investing for retirement, if you're 25, you could probably keep it at the 15 that he recommends while you're still paying off the house. So if you are still saving for a down payment or whatever, you could do that. But let's see, 25 single and debt-free. Extra income, okay, especially since I'm not saving for any big goals at the moment. I guess extra income would be like the snowball, would just mean what you have extra after paying all expenses, I guess. Currently, I have no plans to buy a home, have kids, get married, buy a car, or go to school in the foreseeable future. You're going to do at least some of those things at some point, most likely. Some of these things that I eventually plan to have, but at a later stage of life or when I get married. Income 60. Emergency fund is $10,000, a little more than 7 months rent. That's high from what Dave recommends. Well, no, if that's 7 months rent, it could be take care of all of his expenses for 3 months then maybe, or somewhere between 3 and 6 months. Investment for retirement, Roth IRA, plus stock market. What does that mean? Dave recommends manage mutual funds for retirement. So that's the amount he has in there. He's 25. So you got, I mean, that's like, that's, about like the age that everybody would start with, maybe a little bit before that, like where you would graduate college debt-free and start in your big boy or big girl job. Let's see, cash and checking out, $33,000. And so, I mean, that should have like a purpose to it. Even some of it could be trip, travel, or other fun things. So you just need to decide like a fun thing sinking fund where you save up for that fun activity. You can put in your budget a fun amount per month. The rent's $13.49 per month. That's a little up there. Let's see, so saving 20% of income every month and putting that away for retirement. Okay, so that's more than 15, but baby step 7 can do what you want. Employer does not offer a 401k, so I just have Roth IRA and then an individual investment account. Okay, I see. So where you're saying stock market here, it must be a non-retirement account. Okay. I know it's always good to save, but what are Dave's rules for spending money I have left over every month? Well, you can do what you want to. It all depends on what you want. If you know you're going to want a house later, you could start saving up for it little by little. As far as buy a car, if you have transportation now and you don't think you'll need a car soon, then you can just save a little bit at a time for that. Having kids, that part would wait until you actually have one on the way. So you wouldn't be concerned about that at all, but you could start saving for the house and the car. If you're going to go to school, you will need money to pay for that too. So if you're gonna do that, you could just save for that, and the allocation for that is all going to be up to you. But you should probably base it on what you think you're going to want to spend. Boom, boom, boom. For a big trip to Europe in a month. Okay, great. We'll be around $3,000. Should I save even more for retirement and invest, or keep the extra money in a checking account to use for fun purchases, bigger purchases that may come up in the next couple of years? A healthy balance of both. Probably more for, I wouldn't even do more for retirement if you think you're going to need a car, if you think you're going to want a house. I'm assuming it's more personal preference. It is. Since I've checked all the steps, I'm wondering if there are some guidelines. What is the balance? There's no balance for setting money for fun things such as travel. Your budget is up to you, and so you just have to think ahead about it. What you don't want to have happen is spend all your money on travel, and then all of a sudden you get married and you want a house, and then you don't have anything except what's in your retirement account. And you don't have anything saved up for a house. And so that's what you don't want to have happen. What you got to think as you're spending the fun money is you got to, weigh that. Fun money, oh, then I get to do this fun stuff, but then I don't have money here for this. So I'll put some in there and some for the fun stuff. And so that is personal preference. There's no hard guidelines for that. AJ says, thanks for having faith in him. All right. That's because I said he wasn't a troll. That's because I said he likes to be devil's advocate, to take the opposite side of most like things that are, even if he doesn't disagree with it, sometimes he does that, I think. Sometimes he agrees with whatever the person is saying, but then he's like, now hear me out here. What are Dave's arguments against using a credit card that you pay off every month? That it's still debt. This is by Cat Infamous 3027. And it's still debt. The second you swipe it, the second you buy something with that credit card number on Amazon, it is debt. And that you pay off every month. Okay, so what if you have money to pay that off in your checking account? And then if you have a house, if your HVAC goes out, if you have a car that stops running and you only have enough in the bank to get your car fixed, then you can't pay that credit card off, and that's how it starts. And then you say, oh, well, carrying a little balance is fine as opposed to paying it off every month. So that's the danger in that. And that's what his arguments are, because it's too much risk. If you don't have any debt at all, then there's no risk of having debt. Let's see, what does he say? Followed his plan, false. For about, let's see. I don't use a credit card. Oh, okay, I agree. The person who is in debt or who does not have a fully should avoid them like the plague. Even people that aren't can also avoid them like the plague. But it follows a budget faithfully, yeah, until there's unbudgeted expenses, like emergencies. Even if you have a full emergency fund, you can still get in trouble with credit card, and you just don't need it. Where they auto pay in full every month. Yeah, you just don't need it. I'm pretty sure Dave would advise against doing that. You're right. No credit for anything. Scour the internet trying to find where he addresses that specific situation of come up empty. That's because that specific situation doesn't change anything. It's still the same amount of risk. It doesn't matter if you have a fully funded emergency fund. You know why? It doesn't matter if you have a fully funded emergency fund, because the crap that you put on your credit card isn't an emergency. So if you have to do something with the money and then you don't have any money in the checking account to pay that, you don't go to the emergency fund to pay it, because that's not an emergency. So it's the exact same reasons why he says don't have a credit card at all. It doesn't matter if you're in debt or don't have debt, he's still against it. So, yeah. And also because people love it. You can see 155 comments there. A lot of people do that. A lot of people think you do need to build a credit score, but Dave does not. A lot of people think you have to have a credit score to rent an apartment or to buy a house. I have rented 2 apartments without a credit score. And so didn't have any problem with either of them. My pal Sid in the chat has bought a house using Churchill Mortgage, which Dave recommends. They are recommended because they do the, what's that called? Manual underwriting for the mortgage. And so they're not just like the people, I mean, granted, that's a little bit harder than just running the credit score and saying yes or no. That's a little bit more difficult for banks to do that. And so some of them don't like to do that. Some of them may even refuse to do that. But in general, it's worth a little bit of work for them to get your mortgage interest. Or in the case of Churchill, they are a mortgage broker. And so they basically set it up and then they sell that mortgage to a different company. So, yeah. But a lot of people do that, and it's your money, your life. You can do what you want to, but the arguments are the same arguments. Why I agree that a person who is in debt or who does not have a fully funded emergency fund should avoid them like the plague. It's the same exact reasons for that. So it's an understanding issue, not it's your misconception that because you are out of debt and because you have a fully funded emergency fund, you think that changes something about those reasons. It does not. All right, how do you buy phones? Cash Phones are expensive. Just curious. Just everyone purchases their phones. You don't need to get a $500 phone. You can get a $100 phone. How about that? Imagine that. If your method is listed, reply with the number. Purchase new, paid in full, always. The trade-in bill credits and installment payments. That's how I know. That's how like Apple likes to do it. I know. I don't get a used phone. I would not do that. But yeah, paid in full. Now, paid in full one. Prepaid phone is generally gonna. If you're a single person getting a phone, that's generally going to be the cheapest way to do it. Is with a prepaid phone where you prepay it every month, and then you just buy a cheap phone. You don't need a $500 or $1,000 phone. You don't need it. You don't need it. Results: paid in full 42, payment plan 31, used 18. All right, well, good. Who's that? Low ad 3965. Doing a little poll on the Dave Ramsey subreddit. Is Truist an okay place for a Roth? This from neat_individual 6232. My financial advisor who does my Roth IRA says he is joining Truist and my Roth will be through them. I've never heard of Truist before, neither have I. Is this an okay institution and do y'all recommend it? The only reason I chose him originally because he helped a lot of my coworkers and had an agreement with the place I work. All my other investment accounts are with a different financial advisor who is independent. I don't know anything about Truist. Let's find out what that is. I'm assuming it's Truist.com. Truist One checking looks like a bank. Looks like a bank, and so generally they would not be the digital banking. Doesn't seem like they would necessarily be the best because a lot of bank institutions do not have expanded investment choices. Normally they lock you into various things. That moved over a little too far. There we go. So yeah, through a bank is not what Dave Ramsey would normally recommend. This is digital banking, so this may be more like a brokerage, but I haven't heard of it, so I don't know. And your guy, maybe this will make it easier for him to do work because it's less things for him to choose, possibly. So I don't know. Ask him why he wants to go in that. Ask him why. That's what I would do. Say, why do you want to go to that? Boom, boom, boom. Nothing there. Saving for a large down payment. Did I do this one? J Galt 241. No, it's just a day ago. What would Dave do? All right, we'll see if this is a what would Dave do where they actually choose this flare. So they don't have to. They can ask the question without choosing what would Dave do. Let's see if they actually want to know what Dave would do. Curious about what Dave's advice would be for someone who wants to save for 2 to 5 years for a down payment. That may be more than. It's more than. Don't confuse Aubrey. More than. Boom, boom, boom. More than. Let's just put it in the chat so everybody knows. There we go. Tat said, believe it or not, but people can live without a smartphone. No, it's shocking. Right, they can. That may be more than 20% of the price of the house. Should that money be invested in the market or other funds? Given that period of time, it seems like the obvious answer is yes, but I'd be really curious if anyone has any insights. You can point me to something Dave has said in the past. He said that the minimum for that would be 5 years, although I think recently he told somebody it was okay to if they were going to save for at least 4 years, I think. So somewhere around that information. If it's just going to be 2 years, you can't be sure the market's going to be up at that time. So the answer to that would be the 5 years or darn close to 5 years. it would have to be at least 4. But and the reason for that is because the market is always up in 5 years from any given point. So, but the obvious answer is not yes, because the market could be down. If you're trying to buy a house in 2 years, you put the money in there, and then the market's down at the 2-year mark, then you're losing money. So that's why you wouldn't do that. That's why you would just put it in a high yield savings / money market account. Okay, started doing William Shatner for no reason. From Emotional Celery 5989, what would you do? Not what Dave would do, what would I do? So, own a rental property that if I sell it, I could make at least 100,000, I'm assuming dollars, on it. I could then pay off my student loans, $50,000. It takes a lot of time to deal with issues that pop up from it, but I'm not sure it's wise to sell it. What should you do? I would say you do that. If you're not, if it takes a lot of time to deal with issues, you want to do that. You don't keep it because somebody on the internet says, "Oh no, you want to keep real estate." So, and if it's if you're only making 100,000 on it by selling it, then I'm assuming it's a cheaper property. And those you can, you have to rent for cheaper. And so you likely aren't making much money off of it. And so, yeah, I would probably sell it. Just, I wouldn't want to be, I don't want to do that. It takes a lot of time to deal with issues that pop of it. You know what? In my mutual funds, they don't call me saying the HVAC is out. They don't call me with any problems at all. I don't have to deal with any issues that pop up because none do. So that's what you could do with that money instead. That other 50,000 after you get rid of your student loans and any other debt, and there you go. Sell. Being a landlord isn't for anybody, and doesn't sound like everybody, and it doesn't sound like you enjoy it. There are more passive ways to meet your goals, i.e. the market. Alrighty. Stoic Chief, did I do this one? How do I handle my living situation? I live alone. Okay, baby step 2, 26, making 73K with 33K. Left in debt, live alone, 1-bedroom apartment. You don't buy a house till you're out of debt. In a 1-bedroom apartment, and my rent is about $1,150. When I first moved here, my rent was $975. Yup. Hey, guess what happened? The whole world of real estate went up. Everything is worth more, mostly. Definitely your place where you're renting is worth more now. So I noticed that over the years with inflation, it's harder and harder to focus on paying off my debt. You gotta have a budget. It all depends on what you want to do. I'm single as well. I'm not spending any more on groceries now than I was pre-pandy. So that includes all the pandy stuff, the supply line stuff, the higher prices at the grocery store, and now the inflation stuff. That includes all that. I'm not spending any more at the grocery store than I was before. You may have to change stuff. You may have to change things you are spending on. Let's see, I do have a budget and generally end the month with $600, $800 of margin. I DoorDash and try to earn $5 in a month, but I have not been consistent. I just feel like things are moving too slow and it's often discouraging. You're probably spending too much money doing something. The difference is not the, what is that? 150 plus 25, 175 extra. It's not the higher rent, 175 a month. That is not your problem. Problem is other spending, most likely. Oh, let's see. It gives a lot more details. Fun. Lease is up next February. Thinking how I can reduce my expenses. You can get a cheaper apartment if you want. But again, the problem doesn't sound like it's that. That's not that's 175. That's $175 a month problem. And if it looks like you're covering that with the DoorDash, at least, even if you're not consistent with it. But let's see, my budget is pretty reasonable. There's not much I can cut. Probably false. I'm guessing false. I want to be debt free next year, and this year I've actually taken a step in the opposite direction and gained another $13K in debt. I had $20K left before I moved out. Okay, so he moved out, so now he's paying rent. So that's gonna happen. But making 73, you ought to be able to afford that, dog. So I don't think it's reasonable. You can find a room, move back home with mom. Dave wouldn't recommend either of those probably. I mean, you can find just a room if you want. You don't buy a house and rent out bedrooms. You do not buy a house if you are in debt. You do not do that. Doesn't matter if you have decent credit. We don't care about that. I know it's a lot, but I'd like some guidance on. It's not a lot. There's got to be other expenses. Let's see, 43 comments. So I'm pretty sure they took care of them, but there's got to be other expenses that are going out the door that you did not mention. Things that you think are reasonable, but they're not. All right, Ptarmigan Trail, Ptarmigan Ridge Trail. I always miss on that. This is a frequent poster on here. Let's see, read a post about baby step 4 budget and realized with 1 month to go on baby step 3. Cool. If all stays steady, we'll have a 6-month fully emergency fund, and it's time to prep for baby step 4. Here's my task list. Change my 401k, contribution, and fund. Set up Roth at Fidelity. Cool. Set up Treasury Direct account. Boop, boop, boo, doo. Dave does not recommend bonds. Never thought I'd see the day where I would be secure enough to be preparing for the future. Can't say enough about the shift into a happy and excited relationship with money through the Dave Ramsey program. Buying bonds is not through the Dave Ramsey program. He does not recommend those, or metals, or commodities. What was the start of the step like for you? For baby step 4, I tried to get in touch, left voicemails and emails for 3 different SmartVestor Pros in my area, heard from none of them, so I said, well, I'll just learn how to pick mutual funds myself. And so all the information is on the internet, how to do it, and you follow Dave's guidelines. He does say the guidelines of what to do, and using his guidelines on how to pick mutual funds that you can find if you just Google. Let's go to the YouTube. Show me Dave Ramsey investing. You just listen to every single one of these. Explains his investing process. That's probably the best one right there. It's probably the best one right there. Best way to invest your money. New to investing and don't understand anything about it. Mutual funds versus market index funds. Do I really need to invest in the stock market? Are dividend investments a good idea? Stop investing in the stock market since it's down? Question mark. What's the best investment strategy for me? And I'm 22. How do I start investing? How to invest? The great thing about Feds raising interest rates. You're stupid if you do this while the market is down, and that's stop buying or cashing out. Why should I choose Roth 401k over traditional? So there's tons and tons of videos for you to watch that will give you guidelines on how to pick them, and the numbers that you need are available on the internet. You don't even have to be on a brokerage site, but those probably provide the best information on there. The Morningstar website is excellent. Tat says that a friend say that same reasonable line about his budget when he asked me why he ain't making progress. Right. Did he show you it, Tat? I'm curious to what items you found. Most of the time it's going to be groceries. That kills groceries. Eating out kills everybody. So yeah. Yeah. Alrighty, so that should do it. Let's see. Consumer versus investor. Talking to a person who has 5 rental homes and doing well for himself. Mentioned by Dave Ramsey saying I was working the baby steps. He told me that baby steps are excellent advice and consumers are doing the right thing. Following his advice, then he said when it comes to investing, it's another ball game. It's not. It's not. That if he can use, he said that investors only care about ROI and that if he can use debt leverage and investment to make a desirable ROI, why wouldn't someone do that? It's called risk. And the end. He told me Dave back in the day, Dave was using 90-day loans to leverage debt. Yeah, and the bank called his notes. That's right. And that can happen to your dumb ass too. Exactly. That can happen to you as well. So I didn't have to do that. I saw that Dave Ramsey went bankrupt and I didn't have to do that. So I learned from somebody else's advice. So I don't have to have that happen to me. Some people do that. Some people have to have something happen to them before they will learn. Let's see. Success Saturday. New grad first on Colorado. I'll take a look at these again. We did this third paycheck this month, I think. And I'll come back and get these two tomorrow. Let's give my plugs again. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, why is that on there? Yep. Yeah, probably shouldn't have left that playing if I was having trouble. Let's see when the last one, we're 27 minutes ago, skip frame. So that must have worked out. Probably by closing some of these tabs made it better. Let's see. Neglected to tell me reasonable to them means eating out every weekend. Boop, boop, boo, doo. Friday and Saturday nights and Sunday morning brunch after church. Yep, spending more than $100 a week eating out is not reasonable while in debt. That is true. And I clicked on stuff and made this go away, but basically for that my answer is yeah. Alrighty, upcoming streams. Certainly this show, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Ramsey Show, Aftershow show. And again, that's 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I normally go live, even if the Ramsey Show is a repeat. I did start playing Stray. I finished Uncharted and did start playing Stray. And so we'll be working more on that. I did not do a tech support with Coach Steve Money this past weekend. So maybe sometime this week. We'll see on that. Again, up to 420 subscribers. Links are at the top of the chat, in the video description below, and on the right side of my YouTube banner here. I'm Steve Simpson, also known as Coach Steve Money, and I'm a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. That is Dave Ramsey's company. And you can click on financial coaching, and then a calendar will pop up. Happy August, everybody. And you can pick the date. And then you can pick the time, and Calendar will let me know when you would like that appointment, and I'll email you back and let you know what information I need you in order to accurately financially assess you. And we can make that appointment happen. PayPal for donations. PayPal. Normally when I do that, I think I put my hand too low. Yeah, it needs to be up here. There we go. PayPal.me/Coach Steve Money. Instagram, Coach Steve Money. No spaces in that. And also you can get in touch with me about anything. If you have any questions about anything I say or have on my YouTube channel, I'll be more than happy to tell you and talk to you about that. That is Coach Steve Money at gmail.com. And you can ask me about the after show stuff. You can ask me about Oak Island. You can ask me about video gaming. See, I finished that. That was the conclusion of the full playthrough. And I did my first stream of playing Stray, where you get to be that cat. See, that's me. Actually, that's a cutscene. But then right after that, when he stops walking, you get to play the kitty, and it's fun. But if you want to talk to me about computer stuff, I can help you with that. 25 plus years as a PC tech.